She was a devoted mother, a woman rebuilding her life, and just weeks away from welcoming her baby girl into the world. But in the dead of night, the unthinkable happened. A frantic 911 call, a home turned into a crime scene, a horrifying betrayal no one saw coming. Why would the father of her unborn child want her dead? And just how deep does this twisted web of deception go? At first, it seemed like a straightforward case of domestic violence turned deadly. But as investigators dug deeper, shocking details emerged. Secrets, lies, and an alleged conspiracy that involved more than just one man. Was this a crime of passion, or something far more sinister? Could Tamisha's murder have been planned long before she ever knew she was pregnant? And most disturbingly, was someone else there that night holding the gun? Welcome to True Crime Acts, where we look into the hidden truths behind some of the most chilling real-life events. Our mission is to uncover the stories that shock, educate, and spark change, reminding us that behind every headline is a victim, a family, and a ripple effect felt by an entire community. If you find this journey as important as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to ensure you never miss another gripping exploration into the depths of human behavior. Toledo, Ohio, 1989. It was a small city with big dreams, a place where community ties ran deep and where family meant everything. And for Tamisha Price, family wasn't just an idea. It was her foundation, her heartbeat, her reason for being. She was born into a tight-knit, hard-working family, the youngest and only daughter in a household of boys. Her parents, Tyler and Stacy Price, were devoted, strict yet loving, making sure their children understood the values of loyalty, perseverance, and hard work. But to Tamisha, her greatest protectors weren't just her parents. They were her three older brothers, Tobias, Tyler Jr., and Torian. Growing up in a house full of boys could have made her the odd one out. Instead, it made her fierce, resilient, and independent. They taught her how to throw a punch if she needed to. But more importantly, they taught her to stand her ground. Tamisha was the little sister they would do anything for, and she carried that sense of security and belonging with her, even when life took an unexpected turn. Tamisha wasn't just street smart, she was academically ambitious. She had a natural instinct for caregiving, which led her to pursue a career in nursing and patient care. She attended Rogers High School, then continued her education at Apostolic Christian Academy, a faith-based private school where her kindness, strong spirit, and dedication stood out. But her dreams were bigger than the classroom. She later enrolled at Herzing University, where she took courses in healthcare, nursing, and patient care, with the goal of helping those in need. Beyond her medical ambitions, Tamisha had an artistic soul. She found joy in fashion, beauty, and creative expression. She had a flair for styling outfits, capturing moments, and sharing her journey online. Her social media wasn't just about aesthetic feeds or trendy outfits. It was a diary, a place where she showed her unfiltered self. She laughed, she danced, she shared her struggles, turning everyday life into something meaningful. Her confidence wasn't just magnetic, it was inspirational. But behind the curated smiles and carefully posed pictures, Tamisha's life was far from easy. Tamisha became a mother young, perhaps younger than she had planned, but she never once saw it as a mistake. Her sons, Jaden and Leslie, became the center of her universe. Jaden, her firstborn, had his mother's fierce determination. Leslie, her younger son, carried her quiet strength. They weren't just her children, they were her purpose, her driving force, her entire heart. But behind the joy, there was pain. Tamisha's relationship with their father started off like a fairy tale, but soon it turned toxic. Arguments grew louder, his words became weapons, his love a control mechanism. When the relationship turned into a prison instead of a partnership, she made the hardest decision of her life. She walked away. She worked long hours, sometimes too many hours, just to make sure her boys never went without. She took shifts at the hospital, picked up side jobs, and hustled in ways most people never saw. Yet, no matter how exhausted she was, she never let her children feel the weight of her struggles. For Jaden, she was at every school event, cheering him on, pushing him to dream bigger than his circumstances. For Leslie, she nurtured his creative side, supporting his love for music and sports. For herself, she refused to let her past define her future. She wasn't just a mother, she was a warrior. She didn't just survive, she thrived. She built a life for her children, one where love outweighed loss, where strength overshadowed pain. But just when she thought she had finally found peace, life had one more test waiting for her. And this time, it wouldn't be one she could fight her way out of. Tamisha Price was more than a name on a headline. She was a daughter, a sister, a mother, a dreamer. She was the woman who never gave up, no matter how much life tried to break her. But someone else decided her story should end too soon. Her sons lost their mother, her unborn daughter never took her first breath, and the man who should have protected her, instead, became the reason she was taken. But one thing is certain, Tamisha's story does not end here. Her legacy lives on. Her name will not be forgotten, and the fight for her justice, it has only just begun. Tamisha met Paris James at a time when she was finally finding herself again. She had left behind a toxic past, an exhausting struggle to raise 2 boys on her own while juggling her ambitions, her work, her dreams, and now, for the first time in years, she felt free. Paris entered her life like a whispered promise, the kind that sneaks up on you when you least expect it. He was charming in the way that danger often is. Silent, alluring, unpredictable. His past, troubled. His reputation, questionable. But to Tamisha, he was a chance at love, at companionship, at a future where she wouldn't have to do everything alone. She had always been drawn to fixing the broken, believing in redemption. And with Paris, she saw a man who had been lost, but was trying to find his way. He admired her strength as a mother. He told her she was different, special. He made her feel seen, cherished, and for a while, he played the role perfectly. They clicked quickly. The chemistry was undeniable. He knew what to say, how to hold her, how to make her believe that this time, love wouldn't hurt her. But love, real love, isn't built on illusion. And Paris's love, it came with conditions. At first, their relationship felt like a second chance. Tamisha wasn't naive. She knew Paris had a past, run-ins with the law, a reputation for trouble. But she convinced herself that his past didn't define his future. She believed in people. She believed in him. But belief can be blinding. At first, the red flags were small. Paris would get jealous if she spent too much time on social media, posting pictures, engaging with people. He would question why she was working so many hours. He would interrupt her nights with possessive texts, asking why she hadn't responded fast enough. But she excused it. He just cares too much. Then the red flags got bigger. His temper became unpredictable. His words turned sharp, then cruel. He started to accuse her of things that weren't true. But Tamisha had been through worse before. She told herself she could handle it, until she couldn't. The day Tamisha found out she was pregnant should have been one of the happiest moments of her life. She had been a mother before, twice, but this time felt different. This time she was with a man who, despite his flaws, she thought would stand by her. This time, she was having a baby girl. She had already picked a name, Malaysia Leani Price. She imagined braiding her daughter's hair, dressing her in tiny pink dresses, watching her take her first steps. This baby to Tamisha wasn't just another child, she was a symbol of love, of hope, of a fresh start. But Paris, he didn't see a blessing, he saw a problem. Paris's reaction was immediate, sharp, and cruel. He didn't hug her, he didn't celebrate, he didn't smile. Instead, he interrogated her. How do you even know it's mine? Tamisha was shocked, hurt, but not broken. She knew the truth. She knew this was his baby. And she knew she wouldn't give in to his demands. Because that's what he wanted. An abortion. Paris tried convincing her, manipulating her, pressuring her. He called her selfish. He said she was ruining his life. He told her he wasn't ready to be a father again. But no matter how many times he asked, Tamisha stood her ground. She had carried 2 children alone before. She could do it again. She would do it again. And that's when Paris's words turned into something more dangerous. That's when he started plotting. As Tamisha's stomach grew, so did Paris's resentment. He became colder, angrier, distant. He stopped showing up. He stopped checking in. He stopped acting like he cared. And then he disappeared. She tried to convince herself it didn't matter. She had her family, her friends, her sons. She had her baby girl on the way. She had everything she needed. Except Paris wasn't done with her yet. She didn't know it then. But that conversation would be the beginning of the end. Because Paris James didn't just want out of the relationship. He wanted out of fatherhood. And the only way in his mind to do that was to make sure Tamisha never had that baby. Despite everything Paris had put her through, his accusations, his coldness, his threats, Tamisha refused to let it ruin her joy. She was having a baby girl. She was going to be a mother again. And no matter what, she would do it alone if she had to. So when her friends suggested a baby shower, she agreed. But while she was picking out decorations and planning the menu, Paris was plotting something far more sinister. Paris had stopped hiding his resentment. The closer Tamisha's due date got, the angrier he became. The more she embraced the pregnancy, the colder he grew. The moment he realized she wouldn't change her mind, he started looking for another way out. Paris was done arguing, done begging, done waiting for her to do what he wanted. He knew one way to solve his problem. He wouldn't have to pay child support. He wouldn't have to be tied to her forever. He wouldn't have to see the baby he never wanted. If Tamisha was gone, so was the problem. Paris didn't plan this alone. He had accomplices. Two people willing to help carry out this nightmare. Jerry Scott, a longtime associate of Paris, a man with no conscience, no hesitation. Shatwaya Triplet, Paris's new live-in girlfriend, willing to do whatever it took to protect him, even if it meant covering for murder. The plan was simple, but brutal. Tamisha was going to die, and it would happen before she ever got to hold her daughter in her arms. January 24th, 2024, the night everything changed. The clock read 5 a.m. when a figure stepped onto Tamisha's porch. Paris wasn't alone. Jerry stood beside him, their plan already set in motion. The door opened. Paris didn't waste time. He started yelling, pushing past her into the house. Tamisha was caught off guard, but she wasn't afraid. She had stood up to him before. She had fought battles bigger than him. But this time, she wouldn't get the chance. A gunshot shattered the silence. Tamisha staggered back, her hands flying to her stomach. Another shot, then another, then the final shot, and then silence. Jaden couldn't move at first. His mother was lying on the floor, blood spreading beneath her. Her eyes were half open, but she wasn't looking at anything. And then the realization hit. She was dying. The dispatcher's voice was calm, steady, but nothing could calm the terror in Jaden's chest. Where is she? She's on the floor. She's not moving. She's pregnant. Who shot her? Paris. By the time paramedics arrived, it was too late. Tamisha was gone, and so was her baby girl. Malaysia Leani never got to take her first breath. The once joyful home was now a crime scene. A family was shattered. Two boys had lost their mother, and the man who claimed to love her, he had planned her execution. The world would soon know what Paris James had done. But the question remained, would justice be served? Or would Tamisha's murder become just another case, just another statistic? One thing was for sure, this wasn't over. And the truth was about to come out. The murder of Tamisha Price and her unborn daughter sent shockwaves through the community. A young mother, brutally shot in her own home. A baby who never got the chance to take her first breath. Two children, forced to watch their mother's last moments. It was a crime that demanded swift justice, and the police weren't wasting time. From the moment Jaden made that 911 call, police had one name, Paris James. His history with Tamisha, his growing anger, the heated arguments, his obsession with making her get rid of the baby, all pointed to a man who had every reason to want her dead. And when detectives started asking questions, they didn't have to look far for answers. Tamisha's friends and family spoke of the relentless pressure Paris put on her to end the pregnancy. Her text messages, now in police custody, showed his threats, his desperation, his rage. And then came the real break. Surveillance footage. It wasn't just Paris. There was another man with him, Jerry Scott. His name was already in the police system. And when officers started asking around, it became clear Jerry wasn't just some bystander. He was involved. Then came the third name, Shatwaya Triplet, Paris's new girlfriend. At first, she denied knowing anything. But when detectives dug deeper, they found out she had provided Paris with a false alibi. She had told police he was with her that morning, but cell phone records and surveillance footage proved otherwise. She wasn't just covering for him. She was helping him hide the truth. With evidence mounting, police moved fast. Paris James and Jerry Scott were both indicted on 5 counts of aggravated murder, 4 counts of murder, 1 count of aggravated burglary, 2 counts of felonious assault, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. Shatwaya Triplet was charged with obstructing justice, but investigators believed her involvement went deeper than just an alibi. Tamisha's family watched the arrests unfold with relief, but also heartbreak. It wouldn't bring her back. It wouldn't bring Malaysia back, but at the very least, justice was coming. Or so they thought. For months, prosecutors thought they had an open and shut case. They had a motive. Witnesses who saw Paris's growing anger, surveillance footage placing him at the crime scene, and most importantly, a murder weapon. But then in January 2025, a bombshell dropped. During routine DNA testing on the gun, something didn't add up. There was DNA on the weapon that didn't match Paris, Jerry, or Shatwaya. It belonged to an unidentified male. Someone else was there that night. Someone who had touched the gun. The revelation sent the defense team into action. Paris's attorneys immediately requested a delay in the trial. They argued that the new DNA evidence could prove that Paris wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. They hinted that someone else may have been involved. And suddenly, the case that seemed so clear-cut was now surrounded by doubt. The questions no one could ignore. Was there a third shooter? Could someone else have pulled the trigger? Was Paris being framed, or was this a deeper, more twisted murder-for-hire situation? Tamisha's family was devastated. They had finally believed that justice was coming, and now everything was uncertain again. The city of Toledo wasn't staying silent. Tamisha's death wasn't just another headline. It was a wake-up call. Friends and family rallied together, demanding justice. A GoFundMe was created to support Jaden and Leslie, now left without their mother. Her funeral was packed with loved ones, friends, and even strangers who had heard her story. But more than that, her death became a movement. Domestic violence advocates spoke out. Protests were organized. Banners with her face and the words "Justice for Tamisha" were held high in the streets. Even as the trial approaches, the truth remains unclear. Who really killed Tamisha? Will the new DNA evidence change the case? Is justice actually being served? Or is the real killer still out there? One thing is certain, Tamisha deserves justice, and her family won't stop until they get it.